Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I have cinnamon in my coffee, and I'm beginning to think that this is alt season. We've got a lot of green on the screen this morning, and it's pretty exciting. Now, I want to remind everybody, go in the description of my video, all my videos, and so that no one laughs at you, you can be on the Digital Asset Investor newsletter. All you have to do is put your name and email address in, and then all of a sudden, no one can ever point at you and laugh and say, ha, 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 you're not on the Digital Asset Investor newsletter. Why be a victim, folks? All right. I want to start by showing you this. This is the coin market cap today. I've seen XRP up as much as 7% today. And it looks like a lot of these things, there's some crazy numbers. One that Stellar's taking off too, you'll notice. One that we haven't heard much about in these recent days. A lot of people don't like Justin Sun and Tron, but Tron has just taken off. It's up 11.9%. And then let's see what else. Everything's pretty much up for the most part. But what's important to me is that we have a ton of new money coming in. And that, I think, is as significant as anything. Watch the new money. We've had a ton of new money come in, but here's the exciting part. We've had billions of dollars flow into this market, and we're at $379 billion in this market. And as you know, before this game's over, it's going to be trillions in this market. This is the beginning of the beginning of the beginning, folks. All right. Okay, wanted to remind you of this. Remember the video. This is the ex-Prudential CEO who said that he thinks that after Labor Day is what is going to trigger a lot of money to come into the space. Then Barry Silbert retweets the thing out and says, gradually, then suddenly. In other words, they're all coming. All of these people who for the last 2 to 5 years have been poo-pooing on digital assets, and it's a fraud, and it's a this, and it's a that. Now all of a sudden it's legit to them. And here they come, and they're telling you they're coming now. So, and then there's this. XRP Crypto Wolf. Sumitomo Mitsui Financial Group invested in SBI R3 Japan to buy 14%, while SBI Holdings still owns 51%, and R3 will own 35%. So this, I'm not going to say that name again. It's too hard to say. Will promote the utilization and spread of SBI R3, Japan's DLT platform in other fields on top of its trade finance. That's a big deal. Now, XRP Crypto Wolf also, by the way, sometimes I don't stop to say it. If you don't follow, he's one of my favorite providers of news on Twitter. At XRP Crypto Wolf is a definite follow. Go give him a follow. He works very hard. This guy's been providing me good information for a long time, and he's always at it. Extremely bullish since new money is coming in. Cryptocurrency exchange Binance had the highest number of visitors in July, coming in at 25 million visitors. This was followed by Coinbase and BitMEX with 22.5 million and 6.9 million visitors. It's happening, folks. These people are coming into this market now. You can see it right in front of you. You can see it in the increase in viewership on YouTube. It's happening right now. Okay. Now, something we talked about last week is this Charlie Ward guy. Now, here's my disclaimers on this guy. First of all, I'm not one of these Q people. Okay. Not at all. The only reason this guy has captured my attention is because he has brought up this idea of a quantum financial system, and he has specifically mentioned Ripple and XRP. And so what's happening now, and so for that reason, I'm trying to focus in on him, and hopefully either myself or somebody in the XRP community that knows about XRP and what it is can get him on their show and get specific. So yeah, you say that your source says this or your source says that. Well, that's one thing, but let's get more specific. And if you don't have specifics, let's go back to your source and find out the specifics. If he's going to tell you one thing, then maybe he can get more specific on XRP. But in this clip, now this guy, I don't know. His name's Rice Crypto. But one thing I do know from watching this interview is some of the things he was saying about XRP were not true. He was saying that the supply can be increased and all this stuff. And he's obviously a Bitcoin maxi type guy. But I'm not going to play you that parts of this. But I am going to play you this one part right here, 710 to 810. Listen to this. Now, and here's the other thing. Here's the other disclaimer for me. I'm not saying that Charlie Ward is right, but he's telling you something as if he knows. And for that reason, it's entertaining for my audience and entertaining for me. That's how I approach this. If it's entertaining for me, then it'll be entertaining for you. And the other thing is, now I don't do a lot of this. My sources tell me that's not my thing. But that doesn't mean that it's not interesting when people do. So if there's smoke, there's fire, and I want to find out where the fire is. And so I'm kind of locked on this thing and I've even emailed the guy. I want to find out. Okay. I want to be able to find it, put this guy on the show. Let's talk to him. Let's find out. And then you can decide for yourself if it's BS or not. Okay. But I'm not going to ignore when someone is saying some of the things he's saying, such as this.
Your take on this quantum financial system?
The quantum financial system is a digital banking system which settles anywhere in the world within 60 seconds. It was tested out on the 2nd of August. They pinged every bank in the world to make sure that it worked. It will replace the current SWIFT system. How long it runs parallel for, I don't know. I do not know if they're going to use XRP, but I do know that it is using the blockchain system.
Right.
The other thing that I do know is that XRP is gold backed and it's been kept very much under wraps. So it's down for you, somebody like you who is a specialist in that field, which I'm not, to try and ascertain whether that XRP is going to be the UK version, if you like, of, because I...
All right. I just wanted to play you that little clip because he has said that several times. And look, I'm not even saying I agree with the guy. I'm not even saying that's possible, but that's what he's saying. And someone that's saying something like that as if they've been told something, I'm not going to ignore. I want to get to the bottom of what he's really saying and what he's really heard. Okay. Now, yesterday I was talking to you about Starlink. Now, Starlink is a program of Elon Musk's SpaceX, and it's a program to put satellites in space. Now, many of you may think that this idea, what I think Starlink is about is two things. It's about putting satellites around the Earth in low orbit, and they're doing it they're going to do two things with it. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to provide internet to how many times have we heard, in reference to digital assets, how many times have we heard from Ripple, from the people at Stellar, all these different people? We've heard about the unbanked. Well, what are the unbanked? A lot of them are in areas of the world that don't have internet connections and don't have some of the connectivity that a lot of us have. How would you solve that problem? You would provide internets via these satellites that they're putting in outer space. Then on top of that, these satellites could run nodes as well. Okay. And this isn't just me talking. I'm going to show you some things right now. This is happening and it's set to go live in 2020. And I will prove it to you that these satellites are going to be ready to go. What Elon Musk is doing 2020, or at least that was his goal. All right. So first I want you to watch this. This is, there's two clips in this video that I'm going to show you. The first starts here so that you get an understanding of it. And I may talk over this a little bit because there's some music and I don't want to get the copyright.
Since the start of the space age, more than 8,800 objects have been launched into Earth's orbit. But in a few years, that number could increase significantly.
Yep.
Private companies plan to launch tens of thousands of satellites into space to beam internet to customers on Earth. Elon Musk's SpaceX alone has announced plans to launch 42,000 satellites as part of its Starlink internet project. If this happens, SpaceX will, by itself, be responsible for about a 5-fold increase in the number of spacecraft launched by all of humanity.
Wow.
Technically, a satellite refers to any object that orbits another, larger object in space, like the Earth orbiting the Sun. But when we talk about satellites, we usually think about man-made satellites. The first man-made satellite launched into space was called Sputnik, and it was about the size of a beach ball.
This is Russia on October 4th, 1957. On the launching pad is Sputnik Zemlya First, freely translated to mean traveling companion to the Earth.
You know what? I just okay, we'll go from here.
The Soviet Union is launching the first Earth satellite.
Sputnik signaled the beginning of the space race, and since then we've been launching more and more objects into orbit. Now, companies such as SpaceX, Amazon, Telesat, and OneWeb want to launch thousands of satellites to make what they call
mega constellation.
A mega constellation is a network that
what do those look like, folks?
Thousands of satellites all
looks like nodes to me.
Together in a complete system. The reason that these companies are pursuing these mega constellations comes down to essentially two factors. One is that the cost of hardware for these types of satellites has come down and they've shrunk in size considerably. And the second is because there's an increasing demand for data all around the world. So providing high-speed data to any point on Earth is an increasingly valuable asset.
Satellites that provide internet are not necessarily a new idea. Companies like Hughes Network Systems and Viasat are already beaming internet to rural parts of the planet that are not served by fiber or cable connections. About 49% of global households are still not connected to the internet. And these are the people that traditional satellite companies have tried to reach.
Today, there are only a small number of consumer internet offerings over satellite. They tend to be more expensive, and they also tend to have fairly low.
They're about to show you how this is going to work. Very
in the United
interesting.
States, there are only about 2 million customers out of our more than 100 million households that utilize satellite internet.
One big issue with current satellite networks has been latency.
Traditional satellites orbit very far away from the Earth, and that distance increases the overall latency in the network. Latency is the responsiveness of the network. So if you're streaming something online, it's how quickly something loads or how smoothly it runs.
Most internet satellites today operate in what's called geostationary orbit, which is around 36,000 kilometers above Earth's surface, and remain fixed on top of one area. But the satellite systems that SpaceX, OneWeb, Amazon, and Telesat are proposing will operate in what is called low Earth orbit, or between 180 and 2,000 kilometers above Earth's surface. In theory, this should cut down on the latency issues, with speeds up to 20 times faster than current GEO satellites. But to get the same coverage with LEO satellites, you need more of them.
The speed of...
Okay, so you can kind of see it. It's these low orbit satellites. Now, let me show you something fascinating. I ran into this video. I had not seen this stuff. Actually, there's two videos, but watch this. This is actual footage. You can actually see these SpaceX Starlink satellites, and they call them. What did they call them in this other video? I'm going to show you both videos. It's a satellite train, is what they referred to them as. Watch this. Really amazing when you see it like that. But this next video I'm going to show you is even more. It's like, wow, watch this. Do you see the world that we're about to enter, folks? This is what the world we're about to enter is those satellites right there are going to provide the unbanked an internet connection so that they can be banked without having a bank. And it's going to be distributed ledger technology, and I'll bet you $1 to a donut that you're going to have nodes on these ledgers, on these satellites. If you don't already, write it down. I said it, and I'm willing to put my neck out on that one. This has been the plan all along. But how fascinating is that? I mean, it's literally a train of satellites in low orbit, and that's what that's one of the reasons that they're being put there. You can find these videos all over YouTube, by the way. All right, so let's take it a step further. I wanted to see if I could find any kind of documentation that would lay out it so that it wouldn't just be me talking. And I found this from Regions Bank. This is on Regions' website. Regions Asset Management, Cryptocurrency and Blockchain Intro. This is from April of 2018. And it shows Ripple here, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin. So these guys, they were on to it. As I've said on this channel for over 2 years, they were always coming. It was just a matter of time. And we had to deal with all kinds of head fakes before we got here. Now let me read you this part right here. The implications of a decentralized ledger are staggering. Monetary transactions no longer require a financial intermediary. This disintermediation means cryptocurrencies could have the potential to compete with traditional financial institutions, especially in areas where the financial infrastructure is not very robust. When the prerequisite for securely sending money is merely a stable and reliable internet connection, large swaths of the unbanked populations suddenly have access to previously unavailable financial tools. One of the most important of these tools is the ability to send any amount of money to anyone around the world on demand. As an example, migrant workers could send money home for fractions of a penny and allow their families to access those funds within minutes. This money transfer method is a massive improvement over the status quo. Currently, international remittances can take days and cost a significant portion of the money being sent. Traditional payment processors are exploring potential benefits of blockchain as they've begun testing transactions using Ripple and other blockchain technologies. However, there are still barriers preventing cryptocurrencies from being adopted across the globe. In addition to reliable internet, a less obvious requirement is a stable power grid. This is what it's all about. Populations plagued with frequent blackouts could struggle to participate simply because they cannot access the network required to send coins or spend those they receive. Some governments intermittently turn off the internet for political and military purposes. For now, an internet connection is a requirement for the transactions or transfers of cryptocurrencies. For developed countries, natural disasters should be kept in mind. A large earthquake on the West Coast or hurricane on the East Coast has the potential to take out power for millions of people for an extended amount of time. Today, in times of disaster, there is at least the option to buy necessities with cash. But if we move to a world dependent on cryptocurrencies before we untether from the internet, people will not be able to buy the items they need when they need them most. All right. Now notice this little symbol right here. They're referring you to a note at the bottom of the page. Here's the note. Another potential solution is a low Earth orbit constellation of broadband providing satellites currently being tested by SpaceX under the project name Starlink. This still won't help businesses regain power, but it has the potential to provide internet people cell phones with which they can transfer coins in exchange for necessities in a peer-to-peer format. Now, let's go back to this video and take you to the 6-minute mark, because the plan, Elon Musk, they tell you when this is supposed to go live right here.
FCC documents show that SpaceX expects Starlink to become operational once at least 800 satellites are deployed.
The main value of Starlink is providing low latency, high bandwidth access to sparse and moderately sparse, relatively low density areas. It's probably able to serve like 3 to 5% of people in the world.
SpaceX began with the idea to launch 12,000 satellites.
But
in October 2019, the company requested permission for an additional 30,000. SpaceX has also put in a request with the FCC for up to 1 million Earth stations, which end-user customers will utilize to communicate with its satellites. The U.S. Air Force is also testing Starlink satellites on its military planes, and has so far reported favorable results. SpaceX has said that it will begin offering internet service by 2020.
Internet service by 2020. That just happens to be 2020 as in this year, the year of the digital asset, according to Ripple. Okay, now moving on, I saw this morning and I wanted to show this to you because I actually got one of these. And don't forget about Vechain, folks. Vechain has been a little quiet lately, and we've seen a lot of these different altcoins taking off and all, but Vechain is one of the digital assets that I see as legit. Many of you remember when I did the interview with Sonny Liu, but keep your eyes on Vechain. This is one of those play tables that runs on Vechain, Vechain RFID, whatever that is. Okay. Folks, I want to remind everybody, we're having massive amounts of layoffs in the current events. So I want to remind everybody that if you do get laid off and you have a 401k, and it's not just 401ks, but a 403b or different things, you can roll a 401k or a 403b or many other of the retirement assets. You can roll them into an iTrustCapital IRA. And that's what I did. I have a Roth IRA, and you can invest in gold that's on the blockchain as well as XRP, Bitcoin, and other digital assets. This is in the description of all my videos, and there's a discount that'll give you a month free with these guys as well. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that if you've been laid off and you need to roll a 401k or something else, iTrustCapital is the way to go. That's what I did. Thanks for listening.